Today is Thursday, Yud Nisan, Tovshin Ayin Gimel. We're in Teres Menachem Sefer HaMamorim, Tovshin Yud Aleph, Tovshin Yud Beis, in the Maimon Alpayim Shana Kodmot Torah of Tovshin Yud Aleph, page Sadik Beis. At the paragraph beginning with the word Umevayr, the only beginning of the paragraph on the page. The question the Rebbe is focusing on here is, what is the concept of time prior to creation? Chazal say that the Torah preceded the creation of the world by 2,000 years. So the question was, what concept of time could there be before creation? Because time itself is a creation, which was created yesh me'ayin, ex nihilo, just like everything else. So what's before creation? What was the concept of time? And the Rebbe elaborated. That's a question the Friedrich Rebbe brings, and the Rebbe elaborated on this question in the context of others who have asked a question on this Maimon Azal as well. One question was that time is measured through the sun and the moon and the stars and so on and so forth, and they didn't exist. The Rebbe went even deeper, that time is the idea of change, past, present, and future. And if there is nothing to change, if there's nothing that is subject to change, there are no creatures, no creation, then what relevance is there to the concept of time? Because if you talk about eternity, if there is nothing that's not eternal, then eternity makes no sense. Because if it's eternal, then 1,000 or 2,000 or 10,000 is the same. Deeper, the Rebbe said, it's not only those things that either measure time or the context of time that didn't exist. Time itself is a mechudesh. Time itself is a new innovation that was created when the world was created. So therefore, what is the meaning of this Maimon Chazal? Alpayim Shana that the Torah preceded the creation of the world by 2,000 years. That's in a nutshell what we learned until now. Incidentally, I believe that this proposition that time itself is a creation is subject to a difference of opinion. I believe also even in authentic Jewish sources. However, when the Rebbe brings the fact that time is a creation, he quotes often the Maggid of Mezrich, who said that Zman is a mechudesh. But it's a very elaborate sugya, and it's worthy to delve into it for further reading and analysis. But we know enough to carry on learning the Maimer. So my father-in-law, the previous Rebbe, explains, when the Chazal say, when our sages say, Alpayim Shana, that the Torah preceded the creation of the world by 2,000 years, they're not actually referring to actual time as we know it, but rather, Ela Likdima B'mayla. They are referring to preceding the world in Maila, in level. I believe we touched on this also in a previous Maimer. We learned about Zman and Seder Zmanim, if you remember. I forgot which Maimer exactly it is. Baruch Hashem, we've covered quite a bit of ground already, so it's not much fresh in my mind, but I'm quite sure that we've touched upon it previously. So when Chazal say Alpayim Shana Kodmot Torah L'Briyos Sh'Leilam, it's referring to what? To preceding the world in level. In other words, it's higher than the world 2,000 levels, if you will, or 2,000 years in terms of level. Whatever 2,000 years is in that context, which the Rebbe is going to spell out. Ukdima zu, this preceding of the Torah to the creation of the world, but even the Alpayim Shana, in a mode, in a way of 2,000 years. Beis Alofim. Beis Alfim. Two types of Alephs. What does Aleph mean? Aleph means teaching. Aleph chochma, Aleph chabina. I will teach you chochma, wisdom. I will teach you bina, understanding. What does that mean? In other words, dahainu. This means, this is a reference to bechinas hameichin, the level of meichin, intellect, shem lamayla meha elamis, which are beyond worlds, beyond the context of the worlds. Why? Because as we know, the worlds are what? Created with what? With midas. Everybody remembers the mimer of the bar mitzvah. If not from yourself, then at least from your sons. Steht in Pasuk Sheishes Yomim Masa, und so steht nicht bis Sheishes, right? The Rebbe spells it out. Ki yudua, she'ascholas inyan ha'elam b'sum b'chinas ha'midas, shem l'tzedach ha'elam, it says it is known, the beginning of this idea of worlds, of realms, is from the level of the emotional faculties, the emotional attributes. Sheheim l'tzedach ha'elam, which are for the need, for the purpose of the world. As it says in the Pasuk Sheishes Yomim Masa v'hayas ha'shamayim v'sa'aretz, that in 6 days Hashem made the heaven and the earth, Hainu, which means to say, what's the reference over here? First of all, as I just mentioned, it doesn't say, it should have said, Hashem made the heavens and the earth in 6 days. It took Hashem 6 days to create the heavens and the earth. What does it say? If you define the pasuk literally, Sheishes Yomim Asa. Hashem made 6 days. As Hashemayim are the heavens and the earth. It seems to mean that Hashem made 6 days for the purpose of the heavens and the earth. What is the reference of the 6 days that he made for the purpose of the heaven and the earth? The 6 days refers to the 6 midas. Hashem made 6 midas for the purpose of creating the heavens and the earth. Before the creation of the heavens and the earth, there first needed to be the creation of the 6 days. What are these 6 days that Hashem needed to create prior to the creation of the physical heaven and the earth? Shehem Shisha Midos, this is a reference to the 6 emotional attributes. Basically, Zoh, right? Chesed Gura Teferes, Netzach Yisod. Shal Yod Amosas Hashemayim V'Sa'aretz, through which Hashem actually made the heavens and the earth. The Shemayim Koyal Kol Ha'olam Yisrael Yonim. So what are we referring to now over here, the heavens and the earth? Not only the physical heavens and the earth as we know it in our world, but also this is a reference that has a wider implications. Shemayim generally is a reference to the upper realms. The Oretz Koyal Kol Ha'olam Yisrael. Oretz is a reference, the earth is a reference to all the lower realms. In other words, let's divide it into Atzilus, would be Shemayim, and Biyah would be Oretz. For example, Aval HaMeichin Him L'mayla Me'ha'olam is. But the intellectual attributes are beyond worlds, are beyond realms altogether. Shehem la'atzmei. This is still within the confines of what? Of the Beirei, of the Creator. Just as it is by a physical person down here. That the emotional aspects of the human soul are for the purpose of the other. This means that generally the idea of emotions is relevant only when there is someone else other than you. Even when we talk about the midas as the emotional attributes, as they become awakened within you, it is also in the context of someone else. Love, hate, etc., etc. These are all attributes that are connected to another individual, even if you don't yet express it to someone else, but their entire relevance and context is in the context of another person outside of you, someone else outside of you. Because you can be certainly when we talk about the effects and the actual activation of the emotions. For this you need specifically the existence of someone outside of you. When we talk about the intellectual capacities of the human being, not only do we not need someone else outside of us in order to awaken the intellect, we can activate intellect on our own, even concerning the actual activity of the actualization of intellect. You don't need someone else. You can sit on your own happily and have your meichin, your intellectual capacities operate and appreciate the intellectual stimulation and so on and so forth. Not only don't you need someone outside of you, but someone outside of you can actually interfere with intellect. Why? Because the idea of intellect is innately something which is related to the person himself. It'll be understood up above concerning Hashem and Elokus is that this idea of midas, the emotional attributes, Zoh, is for the purpose of the creation of the world. The idea of meichin, the intellectual attributes, Chachma Bina Das, this is the idea of the Elokus as it is for itself. And although the etzem of above, in other words, Hashem himself, needs neither oir, even the level of oir light as it is beyond Atzilus, and certainly it doesn't need, Hashem does not need really meichin of Chachma Bina, which is the idea of what? The Alpayim Shana, the 2,000 years that we're talking about. Nonetheless, even though he doesn't need it, this is the order of descent. This is the order of how Hashem decided that Elokus should be drawn down into the world, should come down into the world. First, there's a need for the divine light to be in a state of it, how it is in and of itself, for itself, which is the idea of the concept of the intellect. A framework of revelation, but in the context of how it is still related to himself. Introverted. And only after this stage could there be the light, the divine energy, as it is in a state of emanating to the other outside of him, in Yanamidis, which is the concept of the emotional attributes. This is now the interpretation of this saying of Chazal that the Torah preceded the creation of the world by 2,000 years. As he quoted from the Pasuk in Mishlei, that concerning Torah, it says that I was his plaything day, which means what? 2 days. Alpayim Shana. In simple terms, this means that Torah is rooted in the level of meichin, intellect, chachma and bina. This is the 2,000 alef chachma, alef bina, which is beyond the realm of the worlds, which are related to what? To the midas, to the emotional attributes, rather than the meichin, the intellectual attributes. So now we understand what is the pshat Alpayim Shana Kadma Al Torah L'Briyasa Shel Olam.